everyone, JV Throws here, back with another video. As you read from the title, in today's video, I'll be discussing the possibility of Big Bend, a defunct coaster of Over Texas past, returning to the park. Could it truly come back? If it did, where will it be located? And what makes me think of this crazy idea? All these questions and more will be answered in today's video. Before I get into my theory though, I would like to say, if you like my content and videos, be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and tap the notification button to know when new videos come out on my channel. Because summer isn't over yet, and I have lots of videos in store for you, so you definitely won't want to miss out on it. And thank you to those who subscribed to my channel previously. It really means a lot. Anyways, with that being said, let's get into today's video. If you don't already know, Six Flags Over Texas today looks nothing like it did in the past. In fact, majority of the attractions and coasters you see from old videos of Over Texas are now long gone. The park truly has changed a lot over the years, and it's not surprising considering that the park has so much history behind it. The park's history is so big you could literally make a documentary about it. But the point is, over the years, Over Texas has lost many of their original attractions, and only a few remain to this day. But it doesn't mean that those defunct attractions are forgotten forever. In fact, some defunct attractions have a pretty strong fan base, and some people will just never forget them. And one of those unforgettable defunct attractions from Over Texas' past is the Big Bend roller coaster. The Big Bend roller coaster was a Schwarzkopf steel coaster that opened at Six Flags Over Texas in 1971. What made this roller coaster unique is that it didn't have a lift hill. The way to get to the max height of 81 feet was with electric motors. These motors, located on the train itself, would pretty much drive the coaster up the hill, which again was very unique. Another unique aspect was that the coaster did not have any seatbelts, and you would sit in single file seating, almost like a classic version of the RMC Raptor. The coaster would start with you going around a spiral taking you to the max height of 81 feet, before finally dropping you into some turns and more turns, with some hills along the way, reaching at a max speed of 52 miles per hour. The coaster might not seem like much, but it was actually very fun, and it quickly became the fan favorite of the park. Sadly though, in just 8 years, the coaster closed down in the year 1979, mostly due to the coaster having poor capacity, and the coaster having some technical issues with the motors on the trains, which were very costly to fix. And in result, the coaster went defunct, and now to this day, only one type of this coaster exists, by the name of the Wizard at Six Flags Great America, which is thankfully still in operation. But as for Over Texas, the only memory of Big Bend left is the footers of the coaster that's located where Aquaman Power Wave is, although you can't see it now during the construction of the new ride. So you might be wondering, if Big Bend was scrapped and there's nothing left of it, how could it possibly return to Six Flags Over Texas? Well, let me explain. Earlier this year, we saw the return of Casa Magnetica, another defunct attraction of Over Texas past, but unlike the other defunct attractions, this one managed to make a comeback, and is now part of the Over Texas lineup again. Now to some, this might seem like a surprise, but actually, I knew beforehand. How? Well, back in January, I created a theory that Ron McKenzie, the new park president of Over Texas, would reboot Over Texas, essentially reliving the legacy of Over Texas by returning it back to its original roots, and making it feel like the park we know and love from the past. In simpler terms, he would revive the park and make it way better. Another prediction I made was that to confirm that the theory was correct, he would in fact return a past attraction. In fact, I think the new ride we're gonna get this year is the revival of Casa Magnetica. And Casa Magnetica did in fact return, proving my theory was correct. But it got me thinking, if bringing back Casa Magnetica was a success, why not do it again? So then it got me searching, what's a defunct attraction at Over Texas that's so popular it could actually come back? And at first, my mind instantly shot at Speedlunkers Cave. I mean, the Speedlunkers are very popular, and they still have a strong fan base to this day. So it's obvious that it could come back, especially since Yosemite Sam Go River Adventure is also standing but not operating, and something needs to replace it ASAP. Of course, I made a video about that, but after some further thinking, there's another attraction that could also return, which is the Big Bend. I mean, this coaster is greatly missed by the Over Texas community, and even the park themselves knows about it. In the official Six Flags Over Texas YouTube channel, there's an entire video dedicated to this ride alone. But it doesn't stop there. In the park itself, there's references for this ride all over. For example, the picnic area by Titan is called Big Bend Ranch, which refers to this ride. Then, for the 60th anniversary of the park, this coaster's picture is all over. And it's not just now. Way back in 2019, before they even announced Aquaman Power Wave and they were barely starting teasing for the new attraction, Big Ben's picture was there. And there's probably more Big Ben references all over the park. But the point is, Six Flags knows we missed this ride. And if Ron brings back another attraction from the past, it just has to be this one. But how? I mean, Big Ben is scrapped, and they just can't rebuild it. Well, I never said anything about the original attraction coming back. In fact, I'm thinking something else. Imagine a newer version of Big Ben, essentially a reboot of the classic attraction. I mean, this could totally work. It would satisfy the people that missed the old attraction, but also bring a newer thrill for younger generations. And it's not really that far-fetched, because we've actually seen Six Flags do this before. For example, New Texas Giant. The RMC hybrid is completely different than the original Woody that came before it, but it still has a similar name, and goes in a similar layout, which makes it a rebooted version of the original. And while sure, some will say that RMC is meant to make reboots of old Woodies, there's also another recent example, which is Casa Magnetica. The ride itself has completely strayed away from the original ride. There's now a new pre-show, a new theme, and it's definitely a modern take on the original attraction. So a Big Bend reboot is not out of the question entirely. In fact, it's very possible. So what do I have in mind for the Big Bend reboot? An RMC Raptor. The reason why I say this is because the RMC Raptor also has single file seating like Big Bend, so it's almost like the original, but it's a new modern version, which makes it a perfect candidate for a Big Bend reboot. Also, one other thing is the track. The track looks like it's bent into shape, which makes the name Big Bend appropriate for this type of coaster. Just saying. But if Six Flags finally decided to give Over Texas a new RMC Raptor, I think they should stay away from the clones. In fact, the best decision is to give Over Texas a completely custom RMC Raptor, one you could only find at Over Texas, which will make it stand out, be unique, and allow this coaster to truly feel worthy to have the name Big Bend. But let's say Over Texas really did get an RMC Raptor, where would it be located? Well, I'd say the best location is the area by Titan and Sidewinder, also known as Big Bend Ranch. I mean, that area is very dead, and needs a new attraction as soon as possible. Also, that area is very big, and they have lots of room to install another coaster there, which could either be next to Titan, on the left side of Texas Giant, or even allow the layout to go over the river and by the land where the abandoned stadium is, because that stadium really has to go. Even some park employees agree. Plus, if that large coaster was located there, people could see it from the freeway, which would be a nice reference to the original Big Ben, which you could also see when driving into Six Flags. There's also plenty of other locations I can list, but I don't want to make the video too long, and these locations is personally the best locations for this brand new coaster. But the main question is, what is making me believe that Big Bend could return, even if it's not the original Big Bend? Well, what if I told you that Over Texas is actually teasing for a brand new attraction? This might seem a little far-fetched, but here's my theory. The brand new Best of Texas Festival is actually a cover-up for teasing a brand new attraction coming to Over Texas. And little by little, Six Flags Over Texas has been giving hints for a Texan-themed attraction. Yep, this feels like a full-blown conspiracy theory, but honestly, it kinda makes sense. I mean, lately, Over Texas has been going all out with Texas theme. And sure, it's mostly because the Best of Texas Festival, but it could be something else. I mean, around the park, I've been noticing some new Texan theming going around to some restaurants or maybe even some rides. An example of this is Chopsticks. It had a little bit of Western theming, but the walls where you dine at is covered in even more Western stuff, like a new sign that says Rodeo. Then, in the new Six Flags Over Texas park map, which looks really cool by the way, the Fright Fest section is looking a little bit different. All the monsters advertised in the picture all have a Western feel to it, and they've never advertised Fright Fest like that before. So could it be that Fright Fest this year is all themed to Western scary stories, like Ghostly Cowboys or the Lake Worth Monster? We'll just have to wait and see. But there's even more suspicious activity coming from Over Texas, specifically at Big Bend Ranch. Big Bend Ranch was actually never named that before. Post-COVID, the area was called Picnic Pavilion. Then all of a sudden they changed the name to Big Bend Ranch and added the new sign. I don't know why they changed it, maybe because they thought it was a boring name, and they wanted to attract people to that area of the park. But it could also be a red herring to a future edition coming to Over Texas. Maybe even that reboot Big Bend. And maybe, just maybe, they named that area Big Bend Ranch because now that'll be the new plaza for the Big Bend roller coaster coming there in the future. Also, one more thing I wanted to add was the Thrill Seekers United event at Six Flags Over Texas that's happening on July 31st. It'll basically be like Roller Coaster Rodeo. But what happened at Roller Coaster Rodeo this year? Jeffrey started teasing a brand new attraction. And I find it weird how Over Texas is doing a very similar event. And in the event highlights, you see something that says, plus more surprises in all caps. Which could mean Ron McKenzie might reveal something big during the event, but we'll just have to wait and see. In result, this is just a theory. And there's no official announcement that Big Ben is returning. But you never know, and it might happen. But anyways, what do you think of my theory? Could it be accurate? And could a rebooted version of Big Ben come to the park? And what do you think is the big surprise that could be revealed during the event on July 31st? Comment down below. But anyways, thank you for watching. This is JV Thrills signing out.